It is 3 p.m. Wednesday here in Seoul. Hello and welcome to Arirang News. I'm Noaram. Thank you as always for tuning in. Now we begin with the latest on the COVID-19 outbreak here in South Korea. Seoul has confirmed at least 94 cases of the coronavirus linked to a call center in the southwest of the capital on Wednesday, up more than 40 from the previous day. More than 550 employees who work on the 7th to 9th floors of the building are currently being screened. Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon says the city is urging private call centers in the capital to close as a preventative measure. The latest figure is the largest number of people to have been infected in Seoul, raising concerns over clusters emerging in the metropolitan area. Two followers of the Shincheonji religious group worked at the call center, but both of them have tested negative for the virus. More than 60% of South Korea's total infections have been linked to the cult. Elsewhere, meanwhile, Italy has witnessed its largest one-day increase of coronavirus fatalities, 168 to be precise, with the overall death toll standing at 631 as of late Tuesday. The accumulated number of confirmed COVID-19 cases now stands at just over 10,000. As the Italian government steps up efforts to tackle the outbreak, the entire country of some 60 million people has been put on lockdown. Confirmed coronavirus cases also continue to surge in Iran, with over 8,000 tallied as of Tuesday, up nearly 900 in the space of a day. In Europe, Britain's Health Minister Nadine Dorries has tested positive for the virus after falling ill last Friday. She is the first British MP to be diagnosed with COVID-19. While serious questions are being raised in Japan about the transparency of its government in regards to the coronavirus outbreak there, a Japanese doctor has praised South Korea's active testing. The Trump administration has also come under fire for what is being described as Washington's sluggish approach to contain the virus in the United States. Hong Yu reports.
A Japanese doctor has criticized the Abe administration's response to the coronavirus, contrasting its testing policy with that of South Korea. Mashiro Kami, speaking at a hearing of the Upper House Budget Committee at the Japanese Parliament on Tuesday, praised South Korea's transparency and active nationwide testing, including how South Korea tests those who do not show symptoms. He emphasized that the mortality rate in South Korea was about 0.7%, whereas Japan's mortality rate is higher at 1.3%, despite the lower number of confirmed cases in Japan. Health experts say that identifying the virus at an early stage is believed to keep the death rate low. During the hearing, Kami also mentioned South Korea's drive-through testing stations, a system that the U.S. benchmarked and implemented in Seattle. Kami added that if Japan continues to conduct few tests, it will not be able to eliminate COVID-19. Over in the U.S., the slow rollout of testing kits has been one of the most criticized aspects of the Trump administration's response to the virus. The U.S. Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, said in an interview with CNN on Tuesday that it's not the matter of U.S. capability, but how they're approaching it. He said that in the U.S., the outbreak hasn't originated from a community cluster, and so they're conducting tests in line with their own testing guidelines. The U.S. had tested less than 4,400 people as of Monday afternoon, according to an analysis of local data from across the country by The Atlantic. South Korea, with much smaller population than the U.S., had tested 10,000 within a week of the first outbreak of the virus in the country. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
Now, protective face masks are now available at some 1,300 local town post offices in South Korea, including around 90 in virus-stricken Daegu and its surrounding areas. The current 5-day rotation system will be applied, under which one person can buy up to 2 masks a week on designated days, depending on the final digit of their year of birth. They will cost around $1 each. People will not be allowed to buy face masks at pharmacies and post office on the same week. Addressing lawmakers Tuesday, Deputy Prime Minister Hong Nam-gi explained that improvements will be made to the current scheme, saying the new system has reduced long queues. He pledged to review the distribution process according to demand at each pharmacy. The Seoul Metropolitan Fire and Disaster Headquarters is bringing in 28 negative pressure ambulances to transport patients infected with the coronavirus. As of last Friday, the city's 119 emergency rescue teams have picked up 1,400 people showing symptoms of COVID-19, and 7 of them were confirmed to be infected. Seoul is asking people to call 1339 first if you have symptoms to prevent the negative pressure ambulances being deployed to those without the virus. Meanwhile, South Korea has developed a new system that can dramatically cut the time it takes to figure out where COVID-19 patients went before they were confirmed. The new system, jointly developed by the government and Korea's CDC, is based on the so-called Smart City Data Hub program. Health authorities can use the system to get information on patients' credit card transactions and related CCTV footage in just 10 minutes, allowing them to quickly determine patients' routes. Previously, investigators had to request such data from the police, which took up to 7 hours. The new system is expected to be used from Monday. Now, many people in Korea have been taking precautions to prevent themselves from contracting COVID-19, especially after the recent spike in infections in the capital. However, there are a few who have been ignoring expert advice, adding to fears of a further spread. As a result, the Justice Ministry has ordered measures to track down people suspected of roaming the streets when they should be staying home. But it could be a matter of these people not knowing they have to quarantine themselves. Our Choi Jung-yoon has more on who should self-isolate and how they should go about it.
Self-isolation means staying at home for 14 days, not going to work, school, or other public places, and avoiding public transport. As COVID-19 is contracted through droplets and close contact between people, preventing patients or suspected patients from coming into contact with people can help contain the outbreak. So, who needs to self-isolate? You might need to isolate yourself if you have traveled to an affected area or have been in close contact with an infected person. Spending 15 minutes within 2 meters of someone with the virus or having face-to-face contact is considered a significant risk. When someone tests positive for the virus, health authorities trace their past activities. This is called contact tracing. The Korea Center for Disease Control and Prevention uses credit card data to track down people who are in the same place as the patient. Based on this information, they will then contact those people found in the tracing and inform them if they need to self-isolate. Then, what should you do if told to self-isolate? First, you should avoid going outside at all times. If you need to go outside, such as to visit the hospital, you must contact the health authorities and inform them of your activities. You must also stay away from your family members or housemates. If you have to communicate, try to use cell phones to talk to the people you live with. But if you must see them in person, stay at least 2 meters away from them and wear a mask. You also need to stay in a well-ventilated bedroom and keep the door shut. Using a separate bathroom is crucial. But if you have to share a bathroom, then use it after everyone else. And once you use it, you must disinfect the area with bleach and a home fumigator. The coronavirus causes a mild illness for most healthy people. But isolating yourself helps protect elderly people and those with underlying health problems from getting infected. The KCDC says quickly identifying the people who need to self-isolate and getting them to follow these rules can help contain the coronavirus. Choi Jung-yoon, Arirang News.
U.S. Ambassador to South Korea Harry Harris has praised the COVID-19 screening process at Incheon International Airport. After seeing firsthand how fever checks are being conducted on U.S.-bound passengers, he described the process as, quote, the exemplar around the world. In a following Twitter post, he added that he was impressed with Korea's robust and comprehensive efforts to limit the spread of the virus. He also thanked the airport staff for their hard work. On Tuesday, the Korean government said it will take over the coronavirus screening from airlines and conduct health examinations on U.S.-bound passengers from Incheon and Kimhae airports. The pre-boarding measure is conducted on departing passengers at 3 points: the terminal, departure floor, and boarding gate. U.S. Democratic presidential candidates Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden have cancelled their campaign rallies over coronavirus concerns. Sanders' campaign announced on Tuesday that it was calling off an evening rally in Cleveland out of concern for public health and safety. Joe Biden then followed suit, saying he's scrapping his own event in Cleveland that's happening on the same day. The state of Ohio has warned about holding large indoor events after it announced 3 confirmed cases on Tuesday. At least 13 states have declared public emergencies due to the coronavirus outbreak. South Korea's jobs figures were up by 492,000 on year in February. However, the wholesale and retail sectors saw a large fall in jobs compared to the year before. Our Ji-young has the details.
The number of people employed in South Korea was up by more than 400,000 on year for the 3rd month in a row in February. According to data released by Statistics Korea on Wednesday, the number of people employed in South Korea was about 26.8 million last month, up 492,000 compared to the same month the year before. Jobs in health and social services saw an increase of 202,000 in February, up 9.7% on year, and 99,000 new jobs were added in the transport and logistics sector. On the other hand, the wholesale and retail sales industries saw a drop of 106,000 jobs on year. Jobs in the food, travel, and lodging sectors also decreased when compared to the previous figures. Jobs involving manual labor increased by 214,000, up 6.5% on year, but the corresponding figure for sales jobs dropped by 71,000, down 2.3% compared to the same period last year. By work hours, the number of employees who work less than 36 hours a week rose by 562,000 on year. On the flip side, those who work more than 36 hours a week fell by 212,000. And those who took a temporary leave of absence from work in February took up around 29% of the total number of people employed. Unofficial, as Statistics Korea said, many of those employed under a government project to create jobs for senior citizens took time off work as part of efforts to curb the spread of the coronavirus. By age, the employment rate for those between 15 and 64 years old reached around 66% last month. That's the highest for the month of February since data was first compiled in 1989. Ji-young, Arirang News.
Despite a marathon 16-hour-long discussion Tuesday on their prolonged trade dispute, officials from South Korea and Japan failed yet again to reach a clear conclusion over Tokyo's export curbs against Seoul and will resume talks at a later date. South Korea's Trade Ministry said today the two countries positively evaluated their respective plans for strengthening legal and institutional export management capabilities. They also agreed to strengthen cooperation so export management and technology transfer management can be done efficiently. However, Japanese media outlets reported today that there's still a huge difference of opinions between the two sides. Tuesday's meeting was the first of its kind in 3 months and was conducted via video conference due to the entry restrictions both have set on each other over the COVID-19 outbreak. South Korea's exports were up in the first 10 days of this month. However, due to a difference in the number of working days compared to March last year, average daily exports were down. Korea Customs Service says outbound shipments amounted to some $13.3 billion in the first 10 days of the month, up nearly 22% on year. But due to there being 1.5 more working days compared to last year, the average amount of daily exports was 2.5% lower. South Korea's overall ICT exports were up 8.5% on year in February, hitting around $13.7 billion. The Trade Ministry says semiconductor exports were up more than 9% and smart devices up by over 4% on year. Okay, that is all the news that we have for you at this hour. Join us again in 2 hours' time at 5 p.m. for more Arirang news. Until then, goodbye.